Welcome to Glisten's Culinary Delights. Today I have one of my favorite recipes for you guys. One of my favorite foods is fried chicken. I know it's completely bad for you and it's not healthy, but it is amazing. It's delicious. I love it so much that we had it at our wedding. I love it so much that in school, when they had us write a love letter to an inanimate object, I wrote it to fried chicken. Dear fried chicken, I can't remember when we first met because I feel like you have been in my life forever, but you have made my life complete. So I am going to share my ultimate favorite fried chicken recipe with you today. Now I've tried making fried chicken so many ways with so many different ingredients. I've tried breadcrumbs and panko and Ritz crackers and like all kinds of stuff, but this is like my go-to recipe every time I make fried chicken. So stay tuned, I'll show you exactly how to do it. It's really not as hard as you think it's going to be, and we're going to have fun today. Alright, so here we have our ingredients. I have about 2.5 pounds of fresh chicken. Make sure it's not frozen. You don't want it won't cook as well if you have frozen chicken. So this is fresh, thawed out chicken. And so my first step is going to be I'm going to season it, and I have my special seasoning that I use it on chicken or pork or whatever, and I'll have the ingredients for that seasoning and exactly how much you should put in the seasoning mix. Basically it's just salt, pepper, onion powder, not quite your 11 spices that you would get at like KFC or something like that, but it's still delicious. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to season both sides of the chicken liberally. So you want some good seasoning on there because you're going to lose some seasoning with the egg wash that we're going to do. So first you're just going to season it. And here I have some chicken breasts and chicken thighs. You can pretty much use any type of chicken that you want. You want legs or thighs or wings or whatever. Recipe's the same depending on what chicken. It's just the cooking time's a little different. So once I have it seasoned on the one side, I'm just going to pat it in so the seasonings get all in nice and good. Okay, so I have my chicken all seasoned. Now I'm going to work on our egg wash type thing that we're going to make. So first thing I'm going to do is I've got 4 large eggs. I'm just going to put it in this large dish that I have here. And then the next thing I have is a cup of hot sauce. I'm using Frank's Red Hot today, but you can use any type of hot sauce that you like. This is just the type that I'm going to use. And don't worry, don't think that the chicken's going to be super spicy by putting it in this. It doesn't taste super spicy. Just gives it a good amount of flavor. So I'm just going to whisk all of that together, the eggs and the hot sauce. Okay, so now that I have this all combined, I'm just going to put my chicken pieces in this mixture. You don't have to use a dish either if you don't want to like dirty dishes or whatever. You can use like a Ziploc bag or whatever you've got on hand. I'm just using this, and you want both sides to be covered. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this with some plastic wrap, and I'm going to set it aside for about an hour in the fridge and just let it soak up all the seasonings and that hot sauce and the eggs, and it's just going to mix all together, get really tasty, and then we'll come back to it and I'll show you what to do next. Alright, so we had our chicken, took it out of the fridge. It's been sitting there for about an hour. You can do up to 2 hours if you want. My next step is I've got 2 cups of flour here. Now this is self-rising flour. It's important to use self-rising flour because it's going to kind of puff up your chicken and make the skin really nice. If you don't have self-rising flour, that's fine. It just won't be as crispy. But self-rising flour really helps. So we got that 2 cups of flour, and it's not seasoned. There's nothing in the flour other than flour. And the reason for this is because we've got our seasonings all over our chicken. If we were to season the flour too, it would just be way too much. So that's why we put the seasonings on before. So with it being sitting for a few hours, those seasonings have been marinating that chicken, making it nice and tender, I'm going to dip each piece into the flour, coat it completely, and then I'm going to put it on the standing rack. So just let it shake it out just a little bit. Put it in the flour. Now I'm going to leave this hand clean, and this is going to be my flouring hand. So you're just going to want to cover it completely. When you move it, you'll see little spots that didn't get any flour. So just move it around a little bit. So this next part is important. Once you're done flouring it on both sides, I only flour it once on both sides. You can dip it again into that mixture and flour it again if you like it extra crispy. But I'm not gonna. But now that it's all floured on both sides, you're gonna pick it up and you're gonna shake off any excess flour.
Oh, thank you. There it is. Oh, just shake them off like a dog.
It's important to shake it off because then if you have a lot of excess flour in your pan, it's just going to burn on the bottom of the pan in oil. So you don't want that. So now that I got it all shaked off, I'm going to just put it on my tray. And just do that with all the rest of the pieces too. Now for the chicken that I used chicken breasts that don't have bone in. And then my chicken thighs are bone in. But like I said in the very beginning of the video, you can use any type of chicken that you want. Boneless, thighs, legs, wings, whatever. Okay, so I've got my hot plate on. I've got oil in my pan, and I'll show you what the pan looks like so you can see how much oil you should put in there. We're calling this a shallow fry chicken. Because it's not in a deep fryer. So that just means that the chicken is not going to be completely covered in the oil. But the oil that I have in here is peanut oil. My temperature set to 350 and I'm just letting the oil warm up. You do not want to put the chicken in here until the oil is cooked. My hot plate has a really cool setting where it tells me what the temperature is, and so it'll just like keep it at that temperature. What's important when you're frying chicken is that you keep a consistent temperature. You don't want it too low because then it'll make your chicken soggy and greasy. And you don't want it too high because then it won't cook the inside of the chicken. It's telling me it's at 232, so not quite at 350 just yet. So we're just going to wait for this oil to completely warm up, and then we will put our chicken in. Okay, so we're ready to start the cook of the chicken. We have it at temp, it's at 350. And so my next step is I'm going to put the chicken in the pan. Now one tip, you don't want to overcrowd the chicken in the pan. You don't want to put all of it in at once, even though it seems like that would make it cook faster and you'll have all of it done at the same time. If you put all of the chicken in at once, then it's going to bring the temperature down of the oil, and then they'll get stuck together, and you don't want that. So I'm going to put a few pieces of chicken in at a time. So before you stick it in there, again, like we talked about before, make sure there's not any excess flour on the chicken. Put it in the pan. Now we're just going to let it fry on the one side until it's golden brown, and then we'll flip it and let the other side get golden brown. One way to know that it's done is if you have a meat thermometer, you can stick the meat thermometer inside the chicken. You want the chicken to be at 165 internally. As you can see, I have my thermometer here on the side. It's just a candy thermometer, or I can use this. And I'm just gonna like periodically check it to make sure that the temp is still where it needs to be. Alright, so I've got it, I've turned it over, I flipped it, I'm trying to get it brown on all sides. Just got a little bit on this side that's not quite brown yet. Delicious! Alright, so I would say that's about done. I'm going to put it on my plate. Alright guys, we have our lovely delicious fried chicken completely done, looking delicious. We're going to get a taste. looking so moist in the inside. That's what you want, this crust. It's really hot, but it's so good. So moist on the inside, nice and crispy on the outside. Seasoning is perfect. I don't think I need anything. It's perfect as it is. Someone just needs to invent smell-o-vision so you guys can get the full effect of this delicious chicken. Our house smells great and it is awesome. So I would love for you to try this recipe. I'm just making the chicken today, but there are other side recipes that you can look at on my channel. So go and check out my past videos. I'd love for you to subscribe, like this video, comment if you have any questions or any comments that you would want to talk about fried chicken. I'm here. Go ahead and comment. Check that bell so we can get notifications of any of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Delicious.